The Hustle Share podcast is brought to you by Payoneer, a digital payment platform that provides online money transfer. With its fast, flexible, secure, and low-cost solutions, businesses across the world can pay and get paid globally. Visit Payoneer.com now. Also by Chatbot PH. Save time and effort for your business. Automate how your team does customer service, marketing, and key redundant processes, all by using a chatbot. Invest in your own chatbot now and use AI to run your business. Go to www.chatbot.ph.
I think that's the kind of perspective that I bring to the startup scene because I've been an entrepreneur for many years now. And I know that, okay, you may, because sometimes, people join pitching competitions because, if they win, sure, they get the media mileage, they get the PR, right? They get their 15 minutes, right? But if you join one pitching competition after another, it kind of deviates from your main mission, which should be scaling, growing your business.
Welcome to Hustle Share, the podcast that features the daily grinds of unique hustlers around the world to show not our differences, but that our hustles are very much alike. Now here's your host, Ronster Bae-pyong.
Welcome to episode 48 of the Hustle Share podcast. My name is Ronster, and I'm your host. And this episode is powered by Payoneer, a digital payment platform that provides online money transfer, empowering businesses around the world to grow globally. Now, we are a proud affiliate of the Podcast Network Asia, but before we begin, I'd like to remind you that this podcast is not safe for work, so make sure there are no kids around when you're listening to this. Because today we're going to be talking about the hustle behind a very, very popular TV show among startup founders. And we're going to be talking to none other than the mind behind it all. His name is John Aguilar of The Final Pitch. And this is arguably one of the most interesting episodes ever on Hustle Share because we're going to be talking a lot how it is like helping out startups here in the Philippines. But before that, John is going to take us back to where it all started, of how he started hustling as an athlete and the key learnings he got from that experience that he still uses till now. John is also going to be sharing how he started out as a media professional and all the things he learned there that eventually led him to creating his own company and producing his own shows. But it's not that easy because John will come clean of how hard it got for him when he was starting out and how he eventually got his big break through a show he produced that revolved around real estate. Now, this is where it gets interesting because John is now going to talk about the hustle behind the final pitch, like what goes on behind the scenes and how they literally do the show and the preparations they had to do just to make it work. Now, this is not the longest episode of Hustle Share for no apparent reason because John gave us so much in terms of learnings that we can all learn from. Like what makes a good pitch, the qualities of a good startup, and how to bounce back from failure. And listen to the whole episode because I will also be revealing something big that you might be very interested on. So if you're ready to learn the hustle behind the final pitch, let's begin this episode right now. Welcome to the latest episode of the Hustle Share podcast. We're going showbiz today, and I still have energy. I don't know why, but we're literally recording this at night. And today we have a very good friend of mine, which eventually I'll tell you why he's here. I don't want to leak it out, but today we're hearing the hustle behind the final pitch. And welcome to the show, John Aguilar.
Here on.
Oh my gosh. It's like, well, entrepreneurs. Okay, John, first of all, thanks for having the time to visit us today. And we have a lot to talk about because I'm a big fan, knowing now what I do. So I officially came out of the cat's out, right? People now know that I'm onto something aside from Chatbot PH,
Yeah.
right? I have a new startup called Podcast Network. And I want to really find out there's not too many people that can probably understand what I'm doing, being in a producer's hat or an executive producer. I don't even know what to call it. But before we get started with that, John, what's your hustle?
Well, my hustle is that I like doing things that have never been done before. And I'm super competitive.
Yep.
So I want to be the best in whatever it is that I'm doing, regardless what it is, whether it's a Spartan race or, putting up a new business or just even, doing whatever, right?
Right.
So that's really my hustle. That's what motivates me.
Competition.
Competition.
Right. Now, let's get straight to the jugular here because, we always ride the hustle share time machine, as I always do. And by the way, when this comes out, your episode 48. You're very close to 50 episodes. Holy fucking shit. I don't even know.
You've been counting, huh?
Yeah, I mean, we just started this out March 1, but again, it feels like forever. It feels like I've bored it because if you add that up, at episode 52, I would have covered a year's worth of content.
Wow.
If I did that on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
That's fucking crazy. But John, how did this stem for competition start out for you? Because you said, you've always been competitive, right? It competition or drive like that doesn't happen overnight. It's instilled early. How did that happen for you?
It really started early for me when I was maybe in high school. So I started out as actually back in grade school as a tennis player.
Wow.
And I started quite late. Usually tennis players would start maybe 6-7 years old.
Yeah.
I started when I was 11.
Okay.
So if you can just imagine, you're a new guy going up against age groupers who were so much better than you because they had so much more experience.
Right.
But I've always been into sports and I've always been into training my body to jump higher, run
You're always
faster.
that kid who's sweaty.
Yeah,
right,
during
growing up.
recess, yeah.
Yes, that was me too. My mom would kill me growing up. Like, hey, have 3 extra shirts there, ha, anak. And when I come back, it is all sweaty, along with the one and in the school bus, people don't want to sit with me because I'm stinking, right? And puberty hits you at around 10 and 11. You stink like shit, right? For you, you were like that growing up.
So I started out as a tennis player, but found that, I was having a hard time.
Okay.
But one day, one of my classmates actually asked me, hey, you want to try out for the track team?
Wow.
So
And you studied where, if you don't mind me asking?
in Ateneo.
AMDG. There you go. You guys are the hosts of the UAAP.
Yes.
This
So
year,
so I tried out for the team.
Okay.
Apparently, I was a good track and field. I was a good fit.
What was
for the sport.
what was your event? I mean, what was your
Okay, so just to put it this way, when I tried out for the
Okay.
team, when I tried out, I think I tried out like 3 events. I topped all of those 3 events.
No way.
And I think it was because I was such a hard worker as a tennis player. I wasn't such a good tennis player, but I think this was like my first ever like big pivot in my life, right?
Wow.
I wasn't so good in tennis.
Right.
But when I got into track, I was automatically like competitive.
Got
right.
it.
So what happened was the work ethic that I had that helped me as a young kid actually translated to becoming a good track and field athlete.
Got it.
So the next year, after training my ass off,
Right.
I actually broke the UAAP record.
No way. Well, again, for what event?
In the 100-meter dash.
Oh my God.
The
So you're a
pole vault.
sprinter by
Yes,
default.
by
Wow.
default. So that's
Okay.
the 100 and the pole vault. And then the following year, I won like the nationals for the decathlon.
Fucking
So-
way. Are you kidding me? Wow. This is in high school.
In high school and all the way to college.
And
So-
then here's where I empathize with you the most. When you wear your school's colors in competition, it's ingrained with you
yes.
forever.
Yes.
Like right now, it's UAAP season. Fuck all of y'all. I'm USD through and through. Because
Yeah.
I told this to you before. I was also a student athlete. Just so happens that my first event that I tried to delving into sports was soccer.
Right.
Sucked like shit. And there's not too many soccer fields here. We do it in a parking lot where there's
Yeah.
stones and you get tipped over. Aside from the ball you're worried about the fucking stones that are protruding.
Yeah.
Right? And then I tried basketball. And that was first love for
Yeah.
me. And then eventually I became better and better. I was super competitive too. But it's in a team setting. And a lot of what I learned in high school, though, especially the way I run my team now, is still very basketball centric.
Right, okay.
However, I have this question for you. because yeah, drive is there, competition is there, whatever. But there's always key things that we learn from our first coaches.
Right.
You know, because your drive can only push you through, especially when you're young. It's like, I don't want to do this anymore. What was those things that you learned early on that helped you till now to keep pushing? Because, you know, it's easy to, okay, all right, whatever, let him win, let him coast. But there's always that stuff that your coach tells you
Yeah.
that makes you realize a higher mentality or a higher mindset to push forward.
Yeah. So my coach back in high school, Ed Sajego, was of the school of thought that you didn't really need to work, like exhaust yourself to death, right? He was very scientific in a way. He wanted you to work enough, but not work so that you would exhaust yourself so that you would be completely useless after.
Got it.
Right? And I think it worked, but sometimes I didn't follow that. Right? So sometimes he would make us do 4 laps for warm up. I would do 10.
Wow. Holy shit.
So
And then in a field. It's not
it's in
a
the
whole
oval.
track field.
Yeah,
Oh my
in the oval.
God.
So I was kind of like a rebellious athlete in a sense because
Yeah.
I would be assigned to do one event, but I would totally like even do the throws and even do the other things. So, and I think because he saw that I wasn't just good in one thing
Right.
because I was trying so many things. He put me in the decathlon,
Wow.
which was also a good fit for me.
Got it.
So just in case you don't know, the decathlon is like
10 events.
10 events in 2 days.
Right.
So you're competing with other decathletes. Essentially, you have to know each and every event in track and field and train for all so that by the end of 2 days, you would score the highest, right? So it was a discipline that I think prepared me well for entrepreneurship because as an entrepreneur, especially at the start, you have to do everything. You don't necessarily have to be good at everything, but it forces you to pick up a lot of skills that normally you wouldn't know just because you're forced to do it.
Yeah.
Right? So that kind of, I think, set the tone for me later on as an entrepreneur. Knowing that I had to, and I was like one of the most cerebral athletes at that time. There was no internet yet.
Right.
So I would go to the library
Wow.
and research on the kind of food, everything from the kind of food that I would take, vitamins. Bruce Jenner that time was he was like my idol, right?
Yeah, but until he
right, yeah. So my
became
wife,
Caitlyn now.
my wife's like, okay, that stops now.
Okay. Again, no homo. I'm just saying that, you have your childhood heroes.
Right,
But you revere them for life and then
Right.
boom, what the fuck, right?
But I always say that when I was in high school and college, the best education that I got, I really learned when I was in the field.
Got it.
I was not such a studious, student.
Right.
But I was the best at being what I was and what I was passionate about, which was track and field.
Let me dig in deeper here because, as athletes, they always say it. And it's in the UAAP opening when Father Villarreal said it, you're a student first before an athlete.
Oh, yeah. Right.
And people don't understand this. That, okay, you were playing your jocks, whatever, someone will always back you up. Yeah, that's true in a way, especially in basketball players. Yeah. I got the one. My head was super big back then. So I'm a basketball player, right? Whatever, fine, cool. And that's the jock of all jocks, per se. But dude, this is hard because you only have one body and you're basically doing 2 jobs.
Right.
Right? How did you make it through and what was the mindset for motivation? Because it has to be more than just, I want to win. Because eventually when push comes to shove and you're growing up, there's also adulthood or adolescence coming out there. I got to impress the girls, and it's where focus gets instilled. For you, how did that work?
For me, it was quite easy just because I at a young age sort of matured early. I remember a time when I was playing video games the entire day in a neighbor's house, and I would go home, and I distinctly remember there was this one time like I went over the gate to go home, like
pole vault style.
Yeah, I was on top of the gate. It was dinner time, right?
Hurdles,
and
on the gate,
on top of the gate, I had this thought. I thought to myself, oh my God, this entire day I spent in front of the computer,
Right.
right? What did I achieve from staying in the computer, playing this game the entire day?
Right.
And from that moment on, something just hit me and
Okay.
told me, you've got to do something better with your time.
Ah.
Right? Nothing against gamers. I
Right,
mean, it's a
right.
good,
Right.
I mean, nothing against gamers, but at that moment, and I was a young kid, right? I
Right.
thought I have to be able to maximize every single day
Yeah.
that I had because everything is precious. If I wanted to do something and achieve something, I
Right.
have to put in some kind of work into whatever it is that
Right.
I end up doing. So it was kind of weird because I was really young and
Yeah.
to have those thoughts running in my
Right,
head.
right. And to be that vivid too.
Yeah, very.
Right.
I remember it distinctly. The very thought, I was on top of that gate, and I was, what am I doing, or what did I
Yeah.
just do with this entire?
I hope
day?
you landed well. I
did.
You're like, oh shit! Like I've been here 30 minutes on this fucking game.
Yeah, but that helped me.
Right.
That moment helped
Yeah.
me just kind of map out the things that I would set myself to do later on.
And I kind of empathize because I was an only child.
Okay.
I was perfectly cool being alone. And my outlet, and that's why there's always pent up shit.
Yeah.
Like, is when I meet people. Because when I'm at home, it's me, myself, and I.
Yeah.
But I have always second thoughts. And that's probably why, and you said it earlier when we began, that I was solely cool doing something never. People call me weird. Why do you always deviate? Why are you doing
Yeah.
this? Dude, I got some more shit. I just learned how to harness it properly, probably
Later
towards
on.
towards when I started working.
Okay.
Ah shit, I was a total idiot too growing up in high school. I was a class clown, and you can still see it right now. I was
No way.
no, I'm totally introverted. No, and that's it. But okay, let's take a step forward. After now, that's ingrained. Now I know the id. I know how the inner motivations of a John Aguilar is. What was your first work experience or any kind of hustle that's monetary? Because I saw a video you spent some time overseas. You were singing with this guy and whatnot. Did you do other stuff? Were you into music at one point?
Oh yeah. When I was in college, people knew me for
Two things. Okay.
Either you knew me as an athlete,
Okay.
or you knew me as the lead singer of Cradle, the
No
the chick band.
way!
Yeah.
A chick band. What were you
Yeah.
playing?
We were poised to be like the younger version of Side A.
No way.
So for the millennials out there and Gen Z, Side A.
many questions.
Yes. And our primary motivation back then was for the girls.
Of course,
Admittedly,
bruh.
right?
You don't do it for the dudes. You
So
don't
we
do
would-
it for AMDG.
So we would
Right.
play for
Yeah.
school fairs
Yup.
and debuts and stuff like that.
Right.
And we would get paid. And at some
Wow.
point, we landed a recording contract with Dyna Records.
No way. And this is college.
This is college.
This
We were
90s where all these big bands are coming up.
yeah.
The Rico Blancos were being the Chito Mirandas
Right.
of Ateneo.
So
Right.
we were like the side A version of that.
Wow.
And we actually signed a recording contract with a recording company.
How do you get that hustle? I'm just it's easy to make. No, actually, no, it wasn't easy back then because there's no social media. You have to do mixtape, you have to do
Yeah.
gigs and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And you were working, or is it because of the athlete background that you knew how to balance this all this time?
That's the thing, because with that band, although
Okay.
we did sign a recording contract, all of us had really difficult courses. Right?
Wow, what were you taking up?
I was taking up BS Psychology, so it's an
Psych.
honors program in Ateneo.
Wow.
So the thing is, and my bandmates also had really tough courses.
Shout out Jason De La Rosa.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
So what happened was, long story short, our maybe first day in the recording studio was actually our last. Because all of a
Whoa.
sudden, everyone got busy. We had long tests. We
Wow.
had exams that we had to prepare for. So
Okay.
good thing the recording company didn't sue us because we
Okay.
signed. We were even in like the company calendar already. So we had like a thing there. But yeah, we ended up not pursuing it, which I think was a blessing in disguise because
True.
quite honestly, I think had we done it, I think I would have flunked out of college. Just because
Too many girls, manika. Oh,
no, it's more I was aware of
Right.
like the load that
Okay.
because that time bands would guest in shows, whatever.
Right,
and
right.
do-
And there's no other way to put your music out than to actually
Yeah.
road show your shit.
Right. So had we done it, I think I would have not finished my
Oh,
Ateneo
thank God.
education. So
Dino Records, you're welcome. Okay,
blessing
then
in disguise,
after
yeah.
that, after psych, what now? Because you said you had the inner workings of an entrepreneur, right? Was it straight business first? What was your first hustles and whatnot?
Yeah. So I graduated BA Psychology.
Okay.
But my interest really after college was media.
Media.
So back in college, I was writing for the school magazine, and I figured after, why don't I write for a newspaper? So
Okay.
I wrote for a couple of newspapers, the Inquirer, and I was a columnist for another newspaper.
You're
So,
writing about.
I was writing about lifestyle and sports
Wow.
and the things that I would get into.
Got it.
Right.
Okay.
And alongside that, I had also a stint
Okay.
as a news reporter and segment producer for Channel 9 News.
Wow, RPN.
RPN. So that was my first TV job.
Wow.
And I remember distinctly when the executive producer was interviewing me, saw my resume, he looked at it and said, "Oh, you're an accomplished athlete."
Okay.
And him being an athlete himself
Okay.
back in college, he said, I truly respect accomplished athletes who are also students. He didn't know what my grades were. I mean,
Okay.
I was
Nobody
a proud
knows.
student, right?
Not
But-
till you show the transcript of records.
which he didn't ask for, thank God. But
Dude.
he saw.
Yeah.
I think it tells a lot about a person. If you've worked hard, if you're in school, you stay in school, and you're doing sports, right?
I agree. And nothing teaches you life better than
yes,
sports.
yes.
My goodness. Till
It's
now, I
just
preach the
character
same.
building. Yeah,
Exactly.
Mhm.
And people always like, what's that ace? Dude, I pay the dues early.
yeah.
Early. Like, people my age, wherever they're drinking, wherever. Dude, I'm killing myself in the gym.
Right, and you're
Right.
not going out. Right, you're
No,
not
I'm
going out as
asleep.
often.
I'm
right?
done.
Yeah,
Right.
and you.
I mean, you still want to be cool and whatnot,
Yeah.
but there's just no time to do that because you're exhausted and you have a bigger game to play,
Right,
more than
right,
school. Because
right.
okay, gotta get Ateneo in the finals. Jai Reyes is super good. I don't.
Wow.
Yeah, no, yeah, we
Yeah.
went to in my first year, my rookie year in the UAAP. We were in the. We went to the finals. We were number one, and then
Nice.
on the finals, this 2004 juniors. Our captain and co-captain both had mumps
Okay.
before the finals game. We killed Ateneo in the eliminations, but both our captain and co-captain were out, so we lost. Fuck you, Chinese. I'm just kidding. still vivid. It hurts, and also the pain. You. I mean, I don't know if you ever lost some in any
I
event.
have, definitely.
That pain sticks
Yeah,
with you.
yeah.
And that's how you endure.
Yeah, because I remember my first, because I was it was my first year in track and field, right?
Right.
I qualified for the Palarong Pambansa.
Oh yeah, and that's a
right?
big
So
thing.
That's a big thing.
Right.
I mean, being a rookie, so
Right.
you're there competing against all the
Yeah.
best athletes from around the
the
country.
Philippines.
Yeah, around the
you know.
Philippines.
And these motherfuckers from the provinces, I don't know what they
Oh,
run
they're
on.
tough. They're tough.
Woo!
Yeah.
Right.
So I distinctly remember. I think my heat, I placed something like third or fourth.
Wow.
Which really, when that happened, I was like, okay, I know I'm new at this, but next year I want
Wanna be
to
better.
win.
You
I
wanna
want
be better.
Not even better. I want to win a medal.
You want to be at the podium.
Yes.
Right.
So the following year, I broke the record in the pole vault. For
That's hard, by the way. Whoever can fucking stick a fucking thing on the ground and be a few feet in the air and make it through, it's good. But anyway, John, let's take a break and let me come back. Now let's push further into how you did your media job and how Final Pitch was born. But more of that after the break. Hey hustlers, let's take a quick break from the episode to talk about a big mistake I did early in my own hustle as a startup founder. And that's going all in on my startup without having any other source of income. Now you might say that's weird because we talk about going all in a lot in this podcast, but allow me to tell you what exactly happened to me early on. Back in my first startup called Party Foul, I resigned from my day job thinking that I'm gonna get funded when I started winning pitching competitions because I thought I was gonna get funded very soon. But the reality is, it took me 3 years to get funded, and and I was very broke during that time. And just because I wanted to go all in, I didn't take any side hustle. And the bad thing was, I was dependent on my startup for my survival while I was trying to grow it. So I ended up getting a lot of bad deals because I was desperate. So in my next startup, which is Chatbot PH, I made sure that I'm not going to make the same mistake. So I got into the art of freelancing. By making enough money on the side to make ends meet, it allowed my startup to flourish and get acquired in just 12 months after I put it up. But that wouldn't happen if I didn't get paid on time. And there's one product that I relied on heavily to get paid easily, and it's Payoneer. Payoneer saved me from a lot of hassle because it's the fastest way to get paid, especially if you're doing freelancing. And the cool thing about it is that it goes straight to your bank account, so you don't have to worry about your money getting stuck in a wallet somewhere. So whether you're a freelancer, e-commerce seller, digital marketer, or any hustler that requires B2B payment, I highly recommend that you use Payoneer to get your money. So register now and go to Payoneer.com or download the Payoneer app on the App Store or Google Play. Alright, let's get back to the show. And we're back from the break. We are still with the super athletes. There you go. John Aguilar, who, again, prior to the break, we now understood where the media background came in. What was the next thing that you did? Because did you go abroad for a bit and whatnot? What was your next thing after the RPN stint?
So there was this. I had a few stints in different media organizations.
Okay.
So I even did PBA for a while. I was doing
No
like
way.
the halftime pregame with Chiki Roa.
Chiki Roa,
Yeah,
my gosh.
So we were doing that.
OG.
Yeah,
Right.
But basketball was not my thing, right? I was always, ever since after I always wanted to do something that people were not doing.
Yeah.
Right. So I think naturally although I was doing that as a job,
Okay.
but my passion I was somewhere else, right?
Right.
I wanted to do things differently.
Okay.
So I as a TV producer, I also worked for ABS-CBN for a while.
Wow.
And actually, I was a concept developer
Okay.
and a writer for the show of Chris Aquino, Game Ka Na Ba?
No way.
Right? Yeah. So
that was awesome, by the way.
that was my first
I grew up with that shit.
That was my first experience with like a really big TV setup,
Okay.
right? So it kind of taught me that, okay, here in ABS, this is how they do it.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we would shoot, we would stay up till 4 a.m. We would
Mm-hmm.
have more than 100 crew with us.
Mm-hmm.
And all the while, I was just really trying to learn as much as I can because I
Yep.
wanted to find out what are the things that make a big organization such as ABS-CBN successful.
Got it.
And what are the things that maybe I can try to maybe learn from and improve when the time comes that I will put up my own
Got it.
production company.
Well, what were the skills? I mean, there's always the learnings and whatnot. Key skills that you learned through all these organizations that you've been through. Because at the end of the day, if you have the mindset but you don't have the weapon to go through that, you're not gonna get anywhere too.
It's always the power of communication. I think talking to people, and that's why I got into psychology also for my course in college. Regardless where you are, what you will do, you will always engage with people. And everything essentially is a pitch, right?
Right.
You're always pitching yourself, your ideas, whatever it is that you want to do. Someone has to believe you.
Persuasion.
Power of persuasion.
Right.
They have to know that what you're pitching or what you want to happen is something that is good,
Or
not just for
value
you,
or whatever.
yes, but for
Right.
So I think really it's the power of convincing people
Got it.
of the merits of your ideas.
Got it. What were the hardest times that you remember in that grind? Because I've been exposed to several, tough work hours, 7 days a week, 16-hour, 10, 12-hour shifts. It's crazy, right? You literally sleep in the studio.
Yeah.
What were those hardest things that left an indelible mark on you?
Okay, so when I had my first TV job way back when I was doing segment producing work for RPN9, I was the segment host as well.
Got it.
I remember distinctly that time it was the Jurassic era where
Right.
the news people would edit their footage, and you actually had this guy called a spinner
spinner.
who would put in the music live during the telecast.
No way.
Right? So, so a lot of these
It's not post-prod. It's not after.
No, it's like it's live, right?
Right.
So a lot of them just really, if you're a newscaster or a reporter, you would say,
Right.
okay, this is my story, and bahala na the guy, right?
Right,
He would
right.
lay in the music. I remember distinctly that was I didn't believe in that because I wanted control over every aspect of the story.
Wow.
From the writing, the scripting, the music, everything. So I remember after I would submit my video, that would be maybe 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the evening. I would maybe go home, have dinner, and come back live for the 10 p.m. newscast, just so that I could supervise the spinner and tell him exactly where to lay down the music.
Shit.
And this is the kind of work that I was getting paid maybe $750 for,
Wow.
right, per night. But I wanted to make sure that it would be perfect because
Okay.
it was my name on the line.
Yeah.
It had to be perfect. It had to be something that I was proud of.
Mm-hmm.
And I could not entrust something like that because I've tried it. I mean, I've said to the guy in previously, okay,
Right.
this is the music. And I had maybe 3 tracks. Put it here, here, and here. But sometimes, the guy's drunk or
Right.
or whatever.
Yeah.
And the person wouldn't do a good job. So I made sure that I would come back and personally supervise every
Because it's
step.
more counterproductive anyway, right? If you're to do it, and again, your name is on the line. It's not
Yeah.
the camera guys,
Right.
whoever. It's you,
Right.
And how you lead that team. So it's leadership technically that you put in. Now, John, what was the time now where you had to all right, my turn to create, and how did Street Park come to life?
Okay. So my intention was always to create my own TV shows.
Got it.
I've always known that I've always known the power of television, the television medium, and storytelling, right? And I've always envisioned to be able to produce shows that mattered in a way where you actually learn something from the content. It's
Got
not
it.
just entertainment for entertainment's
Yeah.
sake. You have to be able to derive value from watching this thing on they call it the idiot box, right? But I didn't believe in that.
Got it.
Because personally for me, I chose the shows as a kid that I watched.
Right.
And I actually learned a lot of things just by watching TV. Right? So to
Sesame
me,
Street or
yeah,
whatever.
or
I was a batang batibot at one point. I swear, no joke. Because the school that I went to was the director of the school. I mean, the director of Batibot was the owner of the school.
Cool.
So apparently we were just being exploited as talents. We got the fucking talents from the school. But anyway, long story short. So you got there, and now what? How did you make sure that there's value in what you made? And what was the first show?
Okay. So my first experience producing
Right.
was I produced a dance show.
Okay.
Just because one of my interns that time, and as a new entrepreneur,
Right.
you would have loads of interns, not really enough employees, right?
Right.
So I had some
Amen.
interns, some lady interns who told me, hey, sir, dance is so hot right now.
Is this the Dayanara one?
No.
Okay.
No. So dance competitions in high school and college,
Whoa.
back in the mid 2000s.
I remember this.
Was really huge, right?
Yeah, because of Step Up.
Maybe
Yeah.
because of that. So
I grew up on that shit. That's why I talk like these, bro.
so just based on that,
Yeah.
I figured, okay, it probably makes sense to
Okay.
produce a dance show, right? So we did. It was
Okay.
our first dance show. It was called Dance Idol.
Dance.
And
Idol.
I did not know anything about dance,
Dancing.
right? I mean,
I was
the discipline.
secretly hoping that you were a crumper before.
no.
Jan
So-
Aguilar. Crumping.
But it was fascinating for me because
Yeah,
I saw them because we had different categories. We had cheer dance, we had street, we
Crip
had an
walk,
open category,
right.
jazz. So
Wow.
it was an education for me, just trying to figure out, okay, where can I earn money, right?
Right.
So to make a long story short, it was a success. We did it for maybe we started out as a 5-part TV special. Eventually, it was like a 10-episode season.
Wow.
Did not make money, but it was a successful project for us that kind of put us in the radar of some of the networks like Studio
Okay.
23, Lifestyle Network,
Wow.
which paved the way for us to produce content for them later on.
Got it. Because here's now my question. So now you're also, aside from a producer, you're also an entrepreneur, right? How did you make ends meet? How did you bootstrap? Because, dude, creating TV shows is not cheap.
Yeah.
Right? This is not cheap. I'm fucking putting up a podcast and I'm already like feeling the crunch. So, great content requires great investment, right? For you, how did you even make that work to get that off the ground, and how did you make ends meet? And especially if your first show wasn't a hit, then you're breaking even. You still got to pay the guys.
Yeah.
Right? How did you make that work?
I remember there were times when, especially after Dance Idol,
Right.
we hardly made money, right?
Yeah.
We actually lost money. I had to borrow money from people,
Right.
friends, relatives. And I remember we had a small office in Katipunan. Our rent that time was about maybe 13,000, 13,500. I actually had to move to another office upstairs. That was maybe 8,500
Okay.
a month, just because I needed to find a way to be able to bring my costs down.
Yeah.
And it was a very humbling experience for me.
And during that time, were you doing other side hustles to
Oh
keep,
yeah,
to make
all
ends
the
meet?
time,
Okay.
because that time video editing wasn't easily accessible to everyone,
right.
right? So we would do student projects. We would edit student videos.
Wow.
So just to kind of sustain
make
the
ends meet,
overhead,
right.
yeah. And you do what you can, right? Because you have a goal, but you're not there yet. But you have to hustle. I mean,
Right.
you have to find a way to survive.
On your personal aspect, though, I mean, because making the business survive is one thing. How about you? How did you make ends meet?
Wow. For me, it was a test of obviously I was frugal that time. I didn't have a choice.
Right.
But I also had to be creative.
Yeah.
There were a lot of times when I wanted something done, and I would rely on initially my interns, right?
Yeah.
There was this time back in 2007.
Wow.
After like a failed first show, I had like one employee,
Yeah.
right? Who was my marketing manager that time.
Yeah.
And around that time, I was trying to look for what is the next show that I could produce that will kind of bring me that, be a cash cow or bring me that
Yeah.
steady income,
Right.
right? And I was reading through the papers, and I noticed that there were a lot of real estate ads in the papers, and I kind of had a light bulb moment.
Right.
What if I produce a real estate show?
Okay.
There was nothing on TV that time that served that market.
Got it.
And it was a growing market.
Yeah.
You could see, because you would see these ads, but nothing on TV. So I thought, okay, let's do this.
Right.
And I remember there was this one time I went to Canada to visit my relatives.
Right.
And just sort of researching, also trying to validate the idea of overseas Filipinos taking an interest in a TV show that would showcase real estate properties in the Philippines.
Got it.
So I remember my one employee and my interns were doing research back in Manila while I was trying to validate the concept
Right.
idea abroad. And when I came back, I just basically told them, okay, what do you have for me? And
Okay.
they showed me all of these. Okay, so these ads, these will be our target clients, right? And
Oh, the writing was on the wall. It was there.
yeah, it was pretty easy to see it.
But did you have the network?
No,
within-
not at
okay,
all.
wow.
I had no connections. So
Wow.
we did everything from scratch,
Yeah.
right? And we got lucky with our first season because we closed 2 major accounts.
Okay.
And one of those accounts, I would say, is my all-time best closed account,
Okay, which is
which was for a real estate developer
okay.
whose marketing manager
Okay.
or who's marketing manager for that project I met that time
Okay.
would later eventually become my wife.
There you go. What a close. There you go.
So Monica, I met
Yeah.
during her days at Lanco.
Wow.
So
There you
she
go.
was one of my first clients, right?
Nice.
So and I always say this now. So she charmed her way
There you
to
go.
my life.
You actually you fall into the trap, bro. Just kidding. But
So
no,
but it was a very interesting
Yeah.
first year for us producing
Okay.
that program because it was a start, I guess, of good things for me.
Got it.
The show eventually started picking up, and Monica eventually joined me,
Okay.
both in my life
Okay.
as my partner and also my partner in business.
Correct.
And at the start, it was also a struggle for us because although we had a few closed accounts,
Right.
we had to be very creative because a lot of the advertisers who were in the construction industry wanted to pay us in barter.
Yeah.
Right.
X deal is the shit for
X
them.
deal. They
Fucking
wanted to
right.
all
No.
pay.
Right.
And I can't tell our staff like, okay, can we just pay you like bathroom fixtures this
Yeah.
month or toilet this month, right? We can't do that, right?
Right. Or tiles. Here's your tiles. Sell it.
So I had to be creative, right?
Right.
So there was another eureka moment for me.
Okay.
I was thinking, okay, what if all these barter items,
Right.
what if I actually build a house on our real estate show? So that actually set the course for us eventually building homes on Philippine Realty TV. So the kind of business model, which is traditional advertising for
Right,
spots, we kind of flipped it and actually created something that created value.
Right.
Because a lot of the advertisers, people would really need to use them when they build their house, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of the creativity of putting these deals together
Yeah.
really helped later on because it really forces you to think, okay, you're given lemons. How do you make lemonade out of this?
Right.
How do
Or
you
lemon
stretch?
cake, whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it was very interesting because we had to be very creative in our use of resources and also how we would maximize what we had.
Okay.
And to make a long story short, we were able to run the show successfully up till now because we had to do something with what we considered then as a liability,
Which is
barter arrangements in lieu of cash.
there you go.
So we were able to build these homes,
Okay.
flip the properties, and eventually make the profit.
There you go.
So
And I think I'm seeing a pattern here of how you also adapted these learnings with the final pitch.
Right.
I'm pretty sure you're just like, okay, this is my formula now. Okay, I don't care if people was like, yeah, you got bartered. Like, hell no, you don't see the big picture.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, people say, oh, wow, you're so lucky you were able to build a house for free. No way. I mean, the production cost alone for running, mounting a TV show is astronomical. It's
Plus,
crazy.
you were doing block time, was it?
Yeah,
Right?
so we would buy the time from the network.
Correct.
So we
And this
were-
was ANC.
Yeah, that
Right?
time ANC. So we were actually front loading everything.
Right.
Right. So we cannot make anything work until we know that we can cover all our costs.
Right.
So and sometimes it's really just a gamble.
Yeah.
Just saying, okay, let's jump. We can do this, and
Yeah.
just pray to God that the sales come in.
Right.
And
He even wrote a book at one point because
Yeah,
when I
yeah.
was like trying to like when I knew that I was gonna exit from chatbot, they're like, maybe I should start learning how to put up a house. I delved into that. It's like, oh, John, I just forgot to buy the book itself, but
Yeah.
because life, I had fucking putting up a house is not easy,
Yeah.
right? All of last year, all I did was fucking go to all Home Depots.
Yeah.
And fucking and all the appliance or just look for the right furniture, the right whatever. It's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I think you've been able to now walk people through with what you had. Now, question. From this point, how did you jump and how did Final Pitch even get born? Yeah, from
Okay.
this point of view.
Yeah, so in terms of the business model,
Right.
there was a pattern that
Okay.
was emerging. So we were building houses, right? So I wrote the book. That was good for it. Actually, it was very profitable.
Yeah.
The book, and also we eventually put up a brokerage company.
Wow.
The way I produce shows is so different from, let's say, a network would produce
Right.
a show because, and I kind of coined this term for what I actually do. I call it method producing, right? In much the same way as method actors get into the industry or life or
Right.
or world of their character. I also do that with the shows that I produce.
You immerse yourself.
I immerse, and it's beyond immersing. I live it.
Yeah.
Like for, to produce a real estate show, maybe do some research. I actually started building houses.
Yeah.
I got a broker's license, so I'm actually a
Wow,
licensed
real estate broker. Okay.
Yeah, part of the evolution of being more than just a TV producer in that industry, of actually involving yourself and being a player within that industry. So I was able to create different businesses that emerged from the TV platform.
Wow.
So that the TV platform is actually a tool for us to get into the industry and participate as an active player. And that sort of has evolved into, as you now know, the final pitch.
Entrepreneurs. So, okay, let me just come clean, guys. Why the hell is John right here as we speak? Because, okay, so you guys know that aside from Hustle Share, it now has become a full story. I'm actually part of the final pitch this season. Yeah, for the podcast network. So find out if I'm gonna. So if you're listening to this September 16, find out if I'm gonna be. I don't know. Season premiere September 22.
September 22, 8 p.m. on CNN Philippines.
There you go. So every Sunday. Okay, don't go to church or go to church early so you can watch the final pitch over dinner. Okay, but how did you? Because I know you from Philippine Realty TV. I watch. I'm one of those dinosaurs that still plug into ANC and CNN, whatever, and look at news. Right? I know it's the real estate guy. How did you get exposed in the startup industry in the Philippines? Because this is totally alien.
Oh yeah.
People were like, wouldn't even consider us as an industry back then.
Yeah.
How did you get immersed into this?
So what I discovered with the real estate industry when I was producing the show is that because I was so immersed in it, I kind of knew that, okay, these are the steps that I should take so that I could eventually become a player in that industry.
Got it.
And my entry point is usually or has been the TV show that I produce.
Got it.
So in this case, the concept of the final pitch actually evolved from just watching Shark Tank.
Right.
And one night, I was, my wife and I were invited to an event. So this was a Go Negosyo event.
Yep.
And
shout out Jocon.
Yeah.
Please pay us. We have the right network, yo. Listen to the listeners. If you're listening to this, man, there's a lot of. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. And speaking of network, we went to the event and there were like maybe 300, 500 people there who were like the who's who of business, right? You had MVP.
Yep.
You had Bam Aquino, who is my batchmate, was there, and you had
no
people,
way.
Wow. Bam. We knew each other since we were third grade.
So again, just a little caveat: we had a hustle of how the Philippine startup law was made here. So just look it up, scroll down. The hustle behind the Philippine startup law. It's not an act now; it's a law. So God bless him for that. So you met him, Jocon, and all these things.
Yeah.
MVP.
So there were so many people there who were influencers in the business sector.
RJ Ledesma.
Yeah.
Right.
So and we figured, hey, I was talking to my wife, Monica, and she said, I told her, we're so lucky that we're here.
Yeah.
And we could actually go up to any person there.
Yeah.
And if we had something that we wanted to pitch, we could do it. We could just walk up to a person and say, hey, we're doing this. Maybe we could interest you in partnering with us or doing something, right? But not everyone is as lucky. Right? So
and to get all these people in the same room.
Yeah.
Dude,
so
that is like the Illuminati. That is the G7 or whatever, right? Or Davos, right? Where they all congregate, and to be in the same room. Because if not on a normal day, you'd have to go and knock with their doors.
No way.
No, yeah.
So I told Monica, I told her, you know what, the concept for, and I've always been a big fan of Mark Burnett.
Yep.
And he's
actually,
the guy's produced, I think, to me, the most successful shows, just because they work.
Yeah.
Also commercially.
Thank God you didn't make it the final Survivor.
That's too tough, man.
Nobody want to see me naked. Right? Thank you. You didn't go that extreme. All right.
So I told her, I think this is the time to come up with something, a business show that would connect investors
Right.
to startup entrepreneurs.
And that was a big pain point. I mean, coming from the startup game for a while now, it's my 10th year more or less, right? It's not fucking easy,
Yeah.
right? It took me a while to get to this level, right? So many fuck ups that I did, right? That's why this Hustle Share podcast exists. So
And-
what was the first step to coining the show? Because you've had initial investors. What was the first step to get that done?
That night,
Yeah.
that very same night, I told Monica, I think we should do this. And usually I run an idea through
Right,
her
right.
first, and I try to gauge
Yeah.
what her reaction is. And she said, yeah, I think it's a good idea. So that night,
Mm-hmm.
right after I told her that, I immediately went to work.
No way.
Right.
With just an idea.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I said immediately.
Okay.
Like, first person I saw was Joe Concepcion.
Chocolate, right?
And I immediately told him about the concept. We want to do. We're going. No, actually, it's not. We don't want.
Yeah, we're doing it.
We're going to be doing
Shark Tank.
a show where
Yeah.
we will be linking up the investors to startup entrepreneurs.
Right,
And he
right.
said, "Yeah, that's a good idea." So I was kind of already
Yeah,
testing the
yeah.
idea, and then I approached Secretary Mon.
Juan
So-
Lopez.
so Sec
Who wasn't a secretary back then? Or was he already?
He was already.
Oh, was he? Okay,
Newly
cool,
minted
cool.
at the time. So I approached him. I told him we're doing the show.
Okay.
And I approached also another person who I won't name,
Okay.
who also ended up as one of our season 1 investors.
I kind of know who this is. Okay, I'm reading between the lines.
Right.
Cool.
So just on the basis of that idea, I immediately went to work. We
Okay.
went around, and that night, the final pitch was born.
Wow.
Right at that moment.
Okay.
So it's just idea and execute immediately.
Wow.
That-
Now, okay, let's take a break. And how did you now execute from idea to season 1 all the way to now season 4? But let's talk about that more after the break.
Effective automation is the best way for businesses to stay competitive. And having a chatbot for your business lets you easily automate and optimize sales, marketing, and customer service in the digital age. Chatbot PH will build, train, maintain, and market your chatbot across all messaging platforms. Our team uses the latest AI technologies to enable you to better serve customers 24/7, 365. Set a meeting with us today. Message us now at m.me/chatbotph.
Hi, hustlers. This is The Eavesdrop. My name's Francesca.
I'm Jelly.
This is Delamar.
All right, we are inviting you. I know our voices just came out of nowhere, but we're inviting you to check out the Eavesdrop podcast. We are part of the podcast network. And, if you like what you hear and learn on Hustle Share, you just might pick up a thing or two when you listen to the Eavesdrop podcast.
That's right.
Not going
So,
to be about business, though.
yeah, let Ronster take care of that.
It's
All the
about
business.
Yeah.
We got life, love. What
Sex.
else? What else? Sex.
Ayun tayo.
Sometimes.
Drama.
Ano ba tayo?
That's what we got. Drama.
Always.
Always.
We're the voice that you would have wanted. We voice out your thoughts sometimes. We
Yeah.
unleash your anger
Right?
sometimes.
We are
There.
your mouthpiece.
Yes. So check us out.
The Eavesdrop with Francesca, with Jelly, and Delimar.
And we're back for the final part of the Hustle Share podcast. We're still with John Aguilar, who now has minted. Now we know the origins of the final pitch. But John, now after this, what was the early challenges? Because from Philippine Realty TV, was there a lot of overlap of how you execute on the production side and how you do the final pitch?
Overlap, not much overlap.
Right.
I would think conceptually, I'm really lucky now that I have
Right.
a great team.
Yeah.
That is able to. My goal has always been to make
Right.
myself obsolete when it comes to production. Right.
Right.
The team has to be able to do it on their own. I
Right.
empower them. I tell them I have to make as few decisions as possible because you should run the show.
Right.
My focus now is mainly on business development and trying
Right.
to basically
Opening doors.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
But before we go to the next question, just doubling down on this because it's not easy to build a team.
Yeah.
To be blessed, it's not a fucking blessing that, oh, Papa God will just give you another fucking brain. No, you have to go and weed these out.
Oh, yeah.
And there's majority of the time you're not going to get the right fit. How were you able to build such an amazing team? And I see the work.
Yeah.
They have fun doing it, but this is not by accident. Someone had to build this. How did you build this team, and what are the qualities that you look for to assemble this as the Nick Fury
Yeah.
of the final pitch?
Okay, as much as I'd love to say that all my people are original from my first,
Right.
startup days,
Right.
that's not the case, because
Okay.
there have been a lot who have fell through the cracks.
Yep.
I mean, even as a young entrepreneur, you would make a lot of mistakes. So I have to
Yeah.
admit, when I was starting out, I did not know how to manage people. I did not know how to do a lot of things.
Right.
And through the years, people have come and gone, right? But what I'm really grateful with the team that I have right now, and in particular, I will cite two cases.
Okay.
Like, for example, one of my producers actually put up with some partners his own production company,
Oh.
right? They failed at it, but when he came on board and saw what we were doing,
Okay.
realized that what I was doing was actually what he should have been doing with his partners. He kind of
Got it.
saw that you have to be able to think of the right things, produce shows or content that not just resonate with you as a person, that's because you do it, but it has to make business sense. And I think
Yes.
that's why, and he said that that's why they failed as a company, because they were kind of just doing things on their own because they wanted to do it without looking at the market.
Someone's got to pay the bills.
Yeah.
Always.
Right.
And I think that's one thing that I will have to do with the podcast network as well. One of the things that I wanted to validate when I created Hustle Share, aside from the mission of providing the hustle, was, dude, it's got to make money. I'm not doing this for free, right? Someone's got to pay the
Yeah.
bills, and whoever I'm doing it for, who's going to pay the bills per se, has to be a good fit, right? So thank you, Payoneer, for getting that done. Thank you also for season 1 sponsor, Payroll Hero.
Yeah.
Because I'm not just shoving
Right.
shit in your throats right now, because this has real value
Right,
in your
right.
lives as tech entrepreneurs. And I think that's I would have to agree on that.
Yeah.
What's the other thing that he said?
So that's the first guy, Joel.
Yeah.
Our other producer, Don.
Okay.
Don has been a freelancer all his life.
Right.
Right. He told me, and I will never forget this. He told me at some point, he freelanced for our 3rd season, right?
Okay.
And in between seasons, we were really looking for someone we can take on who's senior, who could work with us full time.
Right.
And he told us that he was actually waiting for us to make an offer to invite
Yeah.
him on board
Wow.
full time.
Wow.
And he's never had like a full time job,
Yeah.
just because he preferred being a freelancer.
Right. He wanted that flexibility.
Yeah,
But
he
for
wanted that.
him to
But-
offer being locked up.
Yeah, he
Right.
said, and these were his words. He said, I've experienced the show, and I've seen the impact that it can create. I believe in your vision, and I know that the entrepreneurs that come out of here come up with something. The show, as cliche as it may sound, but it's true. It changes lives, literally.
Yeah.
Because these entrepreneurs who come out on the show have something concrete
Right.
that they get out of it after. They get the investment, they get to hire more people, they
Yeah.
get to build their companies.
Yeah.
And he saw that because he saw the mentorship
Right.
that the entrepreneurs went through. And he said, I want to be in this thing. I believe in this, and
Right.
I want to stay here
And
in this-
run through the long game.
Yes.
And again, I agree, because you changed my life. I did not know Sir Henry Limbon Leong existed. Again, and also a little caveat, I was supposed to actually join season 2.
Right.
Before I applied, I had Chatbot PH. And I did not know we were going to get acquired. Right? I was like, fuck, there's this, Sir Henry is there, and I want to be pitching him too, blah, blah, blah. Right? You didn't know what, you were switching networks, I think, at that time.
From
right?
History
So-
Channel to CNN Philippines.
Correct. And then right till the end, I think I got to the final, when I'm going to pitch, I told you, John, sorry, I got acquired.
Yeah.
So I was like, that was like the best shit to say. But I'm sorry, but I knew in the future that we were gonna have to work together. And thank God I thought of Podcast Network through the Hustle Share podcast. Thank you very much. But dude, thank you, because if this didn't open up, now you gave entrepreneurs a glimpse of hope. Because now, oh shit, this shit exists. And that's what I'm trying to do with the podcast. That, oh shit, this shit exists.
Right.
That I can get to this level through this way. And you know, just by being exposed to it, the funding actually is just a bonus.
Yeah.
Getting that PR, putting yourself out there, because you're only pitching to four investors now.
Right.
But how many investors out there can actually see this?
Yeah.
Right? That would open up more doors. So again, thank you on behalf
You're
of
welcome,
Startup
man.
PH.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. So okay, now how did you grow? Because I've seen the quality as well. It improved drastically.
Yeah.
Season 1, you had bad audio
Yeah.
and whatnot. Now this is pretty solid. And
Yeah.
now season 4 is like, I'm pretty sure it's going to be fast. And also the way you produce in between seasons is faster now.
Right.
How did you make that machine better?
Yeah. First of all, first season was really it was our test,
Yeah.
right? It was our MVP.
Got your feet wet.
Yes,
Yeah.
we needed to come out with a concept and just prove that it works. And
Okay.
fortunately, we got a couple of startups funded. We got
Yeah.
Fly Spaces funded, Maria Health.
Right.
So those are really good names to have as
Yeah.
your proof of concept. Even Kit from Davao.
Even Sterling infused water now.
Yeah,
Jet
yeah.
Martin.
So we got a couple of them, funded,
Mm-hmm.
and it was our MVP. And even if, that time we had really bad audio, the lighting was off, and
Yeah.
it was just really getting the product.
Even the
out there.
venues were better now.
Oh,
It
yeah.
is,
Yeah.
Backdrop. It's like,
Right.
I know I'm gonna look good somewhere in there. Like whoever's
make you look
editing
pretty, man.
my face, God bless you. That's probably gonna be half of your time. But anyway, so it improved. But was there a change in the dynamic of how you ran the team too, or was it natural by default?
It takes a lot of hard work to produce this show, not just from the technical perspective, but because we truly want for there to be investments made at the end of the season. So when I say to make it work, it's beyond the technical aspects of producing a show.
Right.
It's making sure that the due diligence is done properly. It's making sure that once the handshake is done after the final pitch, that we actually help them negotiate
Right.
further, because a lot of the time after the handshake, it's really just the start of the
Yeah.
relationship, right? It's never really just that's it.
Correct.
And a lot of the times, like for me, that is not like after.
Yeah.
I like starting things, but the hand holding, that's where Monica is really good
Yeah.
at, right? She makes sure that, okay, this is what the investors want, this is what the entrepreneurs are offering, how can we make it work? And not all of the deals push through,
Of course.
right?
Due
And-
diligence and any kind of startup funding round, right? I mean, I got this from Minette Navarrete.
Yeah.
Right. So I learned this early. The term sheet is not binding.
Yes.
The only time you actually close the deal is when someone writes you a fucking check.
Correct.
And you cashed it in. That's it. That's when you actually got funded. Not when you handshake. Fuck that handshake, bro. Like it's not gonna. It's not it. Right now. I'm curious, what happens behind the scenes? What do we not see? Because I've seen you guys work, but I'm pretty sure there's a lot of pre-work happening. Walk us through that scene. How do you edit? How much editing time is being done? What type of discussions are done pre and between seasons and whatnot?
Okay, so I think first things first, the most important part is the point where I'm pitching to the investors. Because I have to be able to convince the investors that this is a great platform for you.
Yeah.
To be able to find these entrepreneurs that have been waiting to get into the show and try their luck, right? I have to be able to convince them that we're going to come up with a great season and a great cast, and that their time will be worth it. Right? That's what you don't see. People see, okay, you have your cast and you have the entrepreneurs, but the kind of research that is also done, because not everyone would have the guts to try out for a reality show.
Absolutely.
Right? And we have to be able to come up with a season where we get a good cast of characters that do not just have good businesses, but actually will,
crazy
project
motherfuckers
well.
like me.
Yeah,
right?
like you. You're like
Oh
the
my God.
comedy
Yeah,
element
dude.
of the
Oh my
season.
God. I'm not gonna tell anything.
And I'm glad to have you on board this season because
Yeah.
it's gonna be like one of the craziest, funniest seasons we've ever had because of Ronster by Tyong.
Oh my God.
You are, man, just I'm sometimes the producers and I just look at each other like, oh my God, this is like, because you're natural, man. You're a natural comedian, and
Got that in high school.
Hats off. I mean, you are just the life of the show. I
Oh,
mean, this
man,
season's
thank you,
gonna
thank
be one hell of a ride.
Thank you.
Because of your participation in it, right?
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing because, oh my God, I'm not gonna say shit. I'm gonna say shit that I'm not supposed to say, right?
The episode, I won't give it away, but
Yeah.
Pink is like the
Oh
color
my
of
God,
that
hell
episode.
no.
Pink Ronster.
Oh fuck no.
Yeah.
If you want to see me turn into a fucking walking marshmallow, that's what it is. Just watch. So this September 22 all the way to December 15 is the
Yes,
finale.
that's the last. That's the
Okay,
finale.
so the bear match, it's not about Jose Mary Chan. It's about my Chan.
I like that.
That's what it is. Okay, now on the other side. So again, final pitches here. Very awesome. I'm curious about some other stuff. Let's pay it forward further.
Sure.
But let's start about your other hustle. Talk about your other hustles first. You're creating a venture builder.
Yes.
How did this new thing again come about? And it's called the Dragon's Nest.
Oh.
What's it supposed to do?
Okay. So, and I guess this is okay. I'll just get right to it.
Right.
Remember what I told you about the TV platform
Right.
serving a purpose as a tool? So the final pitch is actually our tool,
Yeah.
so that in the future we will also be able to create our own startups.
Got it.
So for people who don't know what a venture builder is, or the
Right.
venture builder or startup studio model,
Right.
Um,
It's a factory.
as opposed to incubators and accelerators
Yep.
that work with existing startups, a startup studio or venture builder creates its own startups
Right.
from the ground up. So what's going to happen is that we will be launching startups next year.
Right.
The process will start with us inviting the conglomerates to join us,
Got it.
create startups that will be leveraging on exponential technologies.
Got it. So it's a JV, more or less.
It's more or less.
Yeah.
So what this was inspired by my Singularity University
yes,
course that
yes.
I
And
took.
what did you learn that? I saw you went to.
Oh my God,
Like,
that was
you got woke.
yes,
Mega woke.
Yeah. So
Right.
for people who don't know, Singularity University is
Right.
based off of Silicon Valley.
Right, right.
It's I took up the executive program.
Yeah.
And that program literally changed my outlook on the future of everything.
Yeah.
Of what's going to happen
Right.
to us, to humanity in the
Right.
next few years,
Yeah.
even. And what I learned from that, coming from that, is that a lot of the things that are happening right now around the world,
Right.
that are exponential in nature, we can actually do here in the Philippines and in the
Yeah.
ASEAN region. What it taught me is that to be able to affect great change and to be able to do great things, you have to think exponentially. It's never incremental. It has to be exponential.
Yep.
It's 10x.
Big fucking picture.
You have to think of big things
Yeah.
and create big companies.
Right.
It doesn't matter if you start small or if you start in one company or
Right.
one region or one country.
Right.
So what we're going to create are startups that will be partnered with conglomerates
Nice.
that will be creating the ASEAN region's next exponential startups.
Right.
So
Unicorns, decacorns, whatever. That's the goal.
hopefully that's the goal, but the mentality is from the onset going to be regional. So we're not going to create something that is hyper local. We're going to create something that will have right from the get-go a regional perspective.
Got it.
And a regional footprint.
Correct.
That is why, as part of the plans for that business
Yeah.
and that show, because it is also going to be a new show.
Oh shit!
So-
Wow.
So you've been this morning to the physical facility.
Right.
Dragon's Nest.
Yeah, I thought I was being kidnapped. I was like, what the fuck is this? This where Cardo will save me.
So you
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and your cohort of entrepreneurs for season 4 are actually the first people outside of our organization
Oh.
that has seen Dragon's Nest.
Nice. Looks
So-
like a nest, guys. And there, I didn't see the dragon. Yeah, but it looks like a nest, right?
So that's going to be the physical facility. Think
Got it.
Big Brother, but for startups,
Got it.
right? And we will be launching the startups next year, but latter part of this year is going to be our call out for the CEOs, that we will-
Founders.
the founder CEOs that
Got
we
it.
will invite to be the CEOs of these startup companies that we will.
But
be
how
building.
will they get? Because again, at the end of the day, from a normal startup path, right? Normal startup birth or whatnot.
Yeah.
The why or the problem is deeply ingrained with the founder. Now, I've seen this. I'll tell you where I've seen this first. The first venture type where several companies were tried to be born out of that I've seen. I've seen Kickstart do this before, right? Unfortunately, it did not end well.
Yeah.
Right. So they tried to assemble a team, gave them some minor equity with the big thing. I don't know what happened, right? So I'm not really privy to say it, but I've seen this before. For you, I'm pretty sure it's not going to be nailed out of the park right away because, you're playing Nick Fury again.
Yeah.
Right? And now you're putting thing. But there's one thing that I like that you're putting it in here. It's not just a whatever funds money. It's backed by a corporation. Where in the tech startup ecosystem, especially here in the Philippines, one of the biggest topics that we always see that this missed out is that corporate and startup collaboration.
Right.
If you're forcing them to merge, hopefully they just execute in startup speed and they use startup KPIs.
Yeah.
Right? Just if you're gonna give me a fucking corporate KPI, that's not gonna work. Right? Because we operate differently, right? And then let that incubation thing happen. What do you think are the key successful or key KPIs that you'd need to see to make this work this early? I know it's still very early in the game, and by the time someone's listening to this, it would be totally different. But what do you see now that would make this successful?
Yeah. First of all, if you take a look at the pain points
Right.
of startups, a big stumbling block is usually funding.
Yeah.
Right? And as a founder, you have this great idea. You try to assemble the right people, right? And you try to execute with your limited resources. So what a venture builder does is from the get-go already have funding.
Yeah.
Now, the corporate-backed ventures that we will put up, in terms of the direction of the startup,
Right.
the direction is going to be based on the innovation challenge or dilemma of the conglomerate, right? But
So it's internal.
Ron, we are going to be asking for a very long leash.
It
right?
should be because, like what I said, you can't pull the plug like a normal.
Yes. So
whatever.
technically, it's going to be operated as a startup should be operated, which is independent, autonomous,
Right.
fast. And the way it's going to be done is that if you can just imagine, you will have the resources already, and you will have access as well to the resources of the conglomerate.
Right.
If you wanted to run or test something, you can because
Right.
they will allow you to. You can use their data. You can use their people. Essentially giving you the best tools that you can get from a conglomerate,
Right.
but having the flexibility and autonomy of a startup.
And I would have to see if given the right circumstances, this could work.
Yes.
You know why? Because that's exactly what's going on with me with Chatbot
Yeah.
PH. I am semi-autonomous. Yeah, there's gonna be some overlaps and whatnot with accounting, with HR, whatever. But they let me do my shit.
Right.
Right.
Which is as it should be, right?
Correct.
And if you can just imagine if we can have that kind of relationship with
Right.
a conglomerate, because they have to know that they cannot impose their will, because if they do, then might as well just do something in-house.
Correct.
Right?
But also just bridging the gap here. At the end of the day, that's also a challenge that the founders that you'll have to get to do this will have to hurdle.
Exactly.
You have to have enough finesse to be able to meet that expectation
Right.
and back it up with results.
Right.
Because a lot of startups also fail here because they can't fucking they
Exactly.
do the vanity stuff like
and that's
Right.
what we're experiencing right now with the final pitch, because as I told you, we're doing a lot of hand holding after, so we can see the pain points, right?
Right.
We can see that okay, there's issues with disbursement of funds, with revenue generation not being as fast as what the investors would normally
Yeah.
want, right?
Yeah.
So those things come into play. But the thing is, if you're creating something that is okay, and this is going to be the goal of the venture builder. If you're
Right.
going to create moonshot startups
Yep.
and projects, then you have from the onset have to have this mentality that immediate returns is not really the goal here.
No.
The goal here is to be able to create something that is different, something that you have never thought of. You cannot do within your business or your conglomerate.
Yeah.
Something that can surprise you a year, 2 years, 3 years later,
Right.
and see that, hey, I'm glad that we gave this a chance, because had we tried to do this on our own, maybe we would have never gotten to that point, just
Correct.
because of the way we operate. Because, the conglomerates
Right.
are notoriously
Impatient.
There
you go.
Control freaks.
Correct.
Right? And that just
And
does not work
it's
with
not their fault,
startups.
because that's actually how they got here.
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
one thing that also I would have to commend you is because in order for this to work, there needs to be a mediator.
Right.
In a normal startup agile environment, I'll just have to say it, I'll go a little bit jargon in this, but read up about Scrum and agile development. In a normal environment, right, there's always, it's polarized, right? In a normal, if you're creating something, there's, especially in startups, there's the product owner, which is the one who wants all the fucking, this is what we're going to build.
Right.
And then at the other hand, you have the developers. The developers, they think in code, right? If there's no mediator, and I've seen so many startups fuck up on this one, because a product owner, hey dev, build me this, and the dev will always say like, yeah, we'll do it, but they don't know how to fucking dissect that. It's never gonna work.
Yeah.
And then think of it in that setup, the founders and the corporations, there's no mediator, it's not gonna work.
Yeah.
That's where the middleman comes in and becomes very crucial. It's the Scrum Master who then manages the expectation of the product owner and dissects everything from a project point of view for the developer. There's no direct interaction. The Scrum Master is the key. So that, I think, would be a big role of how you would have to manage all of that stuff. Okay, now let's pay it forward. Easily, this is going to be one of our longest episodes, but it's worth it. So stick it out. It just gets better than this.
And this is, I guess, a shout out to a lot of startups right now who have focused maybe on the glitter, the glamour of
The startup fluff.
the startup
whatever the
fluff, or,
Yeah.
or all these pitching competitions, which is ironic because
You're running one.
Yeah, I produce the final pitch,
Right,
right?
right.
But there are a lot of startups out there who sometimes, join startup competitions left and right,
Yeah.
and go through the process of going to all the incubators,
Right.
and to be a perpetual incubatee,
Yeah.
which I feel in the long term really distracts you
Yeah.
from what you should be doing, which is at the onset, you should be really a business that is revenue. I don't want to say revenue generating, but revenue focused,
Correct.
right? Because, I may be in the startup scene now, but I've always believed that revenue or sales cures
king.
all. It's king, right? I think that's the kind of perspective that I bring to the startup scene, because
Right.
I've been an entrepreneur for many years now.
Yeah.
And I know that, okay, you may, because sometimes, people join pitching competitions because, if they win, sure, they get the media mileage, they get the PR, right? They get their 15 minutes, right?
Yeah.
But if you join one pitching competition after another, it kind of deviates from your main mission, which should be scaling, growing your business. But that's a thing. I think it's something that a lot of startups have to learn.
Right.
And it's not something that you can. It's something that you really have to get off your system.
Correct.
Right?
And
you have to be doing it for the
I would
right
have
things.
to complain too, because as a first time, a lot of the first time entrepreneurs are the ones who are guilty of this.
Mm-hmm.
There's more than joining pitching companies, pitching competitions and whatnot. First-time entrepreneurs have a shiny object syndrome. They want to be everything to everyone, right? I had this notoriously back in guestlist.ph and Party File. Unfortunately, as well, the only one who can break that cycle is failure. because nobody's gonna bitch slap you hard enough.
Mm-hmm.
Then because people will always give you the foresight. Oh, I'll play fucking profit. Like, hey, don't do that.
Yeah.
You know,
Failure puts things in perspective,
super.
right? When you fail and you fail big time,
Yep. Like
that's
fuck
when you
shit
realize.
up. Like,
that's when you
right.
realize, oh my God, shit! I really have to be in business, right? It
Right.
can't just be all this papogi, right?
Yep.
You really have to generate cash flow. You have to be able to not just please yourself, but
No.
actually please your advertisers, your investors, etc. Because a lot of people think, a lot of startups think that, okay, I have to get an investment so that I
Yeah.
can, sustain my enterprise.
No.
When the reality is that investment is your debt.
Correct.
So actually, when you get an investment, that's when you're thinking, uh-oh, now
The stakes are higher.
higher. I'm negative now. I have to work double time.
Correct. And again, I'll also shout out to one previous. If you want to learn more about like investments and all that, there's two people that I've had here in the show before. Michael Lintz of Golden Gate Ventures. It provides you a perspective of what the hustle of a venture capitalist is. And a local one, the hustle behind Kickstart Ventures, Minette Navarrete.
Yeah.
And again, she said this on the episode. If you want to listen to it, just look for it in the show. DBTH, don't buy the hype. That's it. And I agree. I always remind myself, DBTH. Okay, as we wrap this up, John, I have a few questions to pay it forward, but let's start with one from one of our Hustle Share community people. His name is Jeff Doolittle, and he's wanted to ask you, how did an apparent failure set you up for a success later on?
Okay. So one thing about failure with me in particular is that I treat each failure as an opportunity to get better.
Okay.
I've been pitching since I was in my early 20s.
Right.
And I can tell you all the number of times that I've failed or I've gotten a no actually helped
Yeah.
to when you always do something and you fail and you think that the next thing that you do, okay, I can't possibly go down or,
Right.
or perform worse than I have the
Right.
last time. It actually teaches you to be better, both in convincing people and just generally accepting failure as part of the process.
Right.
So to me, failure is not just part of it; it's actually integral
Yeah.
in helping you refine your pitch,
Got
your
it.
business, and everything that you do.
So you gotta accept that fact that it's a stepping stone, and you build the ladder using failure.
Yeah.
F's and F's and F's. Okay, here's one thing that I think is so profound of you, and I've seen this through the show. You fucking practice your spiel. It's like, sometimes I think you're crazy, and the first time I was like, "What the fuck is this guy doing?" He's talking to him, like, entrepreneurs, and he's looking at the wall. It's like, what is? Oh, so he's practicing his spiel. Was it public? Was public speaking such an easy thing for you since the get-go, or how did you improve over time? Because pitching as an entrepreneur is a key integral part. Whether you're an introvert or whatever fucking vert you are, unfortunately, if you're a fucking startup founder, you gotta do it. So you gotta accept that fact. How did you become better over time? Because you still practice over time, and you don't even write your script. You fucking just memorize it.
Yeah.
How did you become good at public speaking?
Can I share something with you? And this is kind of a sensitive topic for me, right?
Okay.
Not so sensitive, but when when we approached CNN Philippines,
Right.
Because the first season we came to them and we said,
Okay.
hey, we have this business reality show that we'd like to do with you,
Right.
and we sent them the deck and
Okay.
we sat down with them and said, okay, this is what we're gonna do, and I'm gonna be the host of the show.
Right.
And one of their reactions to that, and this was after, over the phone,
Okay.
one of the executives spoke to me over the phone. So yeah, we like the concept, but you think it's possible if you could get another host?
Wow.
Maybe someone who is maybe a celebrity.
Wow.
Or someone who's like a famous entrepreneur or a famous businessman in the Philippines.
Really?
Right?
Wow.
So to me, the purpose for being the show's host
Right.
is also very personal.
True.
It's not because I just want my face out there.
Yeah.
Although it does really help,
Of
and it's very
course.
deliberate, right?
Yeah.
Because getting myself out there is actually a great way for me to be able to engage people later on. So it's very deliberate.
It's a networking tool as
Exactly,
well. Right.
exactly.
Yeah.
But I think more than that, it was me hosting the show is my way of going out there and saying, if someone like me, who you have absolutely no relation with,
Yeah.
can hook you up to this
Funding
investor,
round of your life.
yes, or,
Right.
or whoever, and I get you two together, right? That would mean that I was successful in doing that for you, and I wanted to be part of that story.
Right.
I didn't want to get someone who was just going to be, a moderator,
Pretty face,
or
whatever.
or a pretty face or whatever. I wanted to get. I didn't want to get someone just for the sake of having someone introduce people.
Right.
Right. Because I was much a part of their story,
Okay.
and I needed to be that person who would be in the middle, like you said, the one in the middle who makes everything
Scrum
happen.
master.
Yeah,
There you go.
I essentially orchestrate this entire thing, and as
Right.
the orchestrator, I want to be right in the middle to tell you, don't screw this up, because
Yeah.
everyone in this show
Yeah.
worked their asses off to
Correct.
make sure that you get your shot,
Absolutely.
right? So
Yeah.
it's
Too many
very
things at
important.
stake. So
Yeah.
don't fucking take this for granted.
So what happened was,
Right.
so, and they said, okay, maybe we can skip. Maybe we can like see like your first season first, and you can't do that, right? You can't
Yeah.
have shoot an entire season without the network.
Of course.
Right? So, fortunately, we got picked up by History
History.
Channel for
I
our
love
first
History
season.
Channel.
So we love them. We love working with them.
Right.
But we felt that CNN Philippines was really a perfect fit for us.
Right.
So after we aired our first season, and by
Yeah.
that time they had seen it and they said, "All right, okay, we like the show.
Okay.
let's have you on
Sounds
board."
good. All right.
And we've had this great relationship with them ever
True,
since.
true.
And whenever I bring up that conversation of them not wanting us because they wanted to replace the host,
Right.
and I always bring that up to them and say, no. They say, no, it's not because of that. It's because you didn't have your first season yet, and so on. But that's, to me, I took that as, it wasn't a failure. It was a no
Right.
that time, but it was motivation for me to try harder. That's why you
Got
see
it.
me always rehearsing my lines and making
Yeah.
sure that I do justice to each and every person that I introduce, or
Right.
each conversation that I have with you guys on the show.
Yeah. Just don't do it right beside me sometimes because it's really creepy. Like, oh shoot, are you practicing? I thought you were talking to me, bro. It's like entrepreneurs. I'm like, I'm not entrepreneurs, bro. No, okay. So that is awesome. But was there ever a part were you this good in public speaking? How did you become better? And is there any hack that you can teach people who are listening right now to become better at it?
Yeah, it's just practice. Like right now, I get invited to a lot of speaking engagements.
Okay.
And it's really just practice
Got
also, getting yourself out there and just communicating your message. Because I think the key to being an effective public speaker is to speak from a place of not just authority, but of you have to be genuine.
Yeah.
You have to be genuine in what you're saying. You
Right.
cannot fake sincerity.
Yep.
Because whatever it is that I talk about when I come up on stage, or when I'm on the show, I speak from the
From the heart,
deepest recesses of my soul, because
Yeah.
I'm an entrepreneur,
Yeah.
right? So when I host a show, I'm speaking as an entrepreneur. There was this moment, season 3,
Yeah.
the finale. I'm not sure if you saw it, but there was this moment in the helipad.
Yeah.
It was 6 a.m. I gathered all of the entrepreneurs at the helipad, and it was, the sun was rising.
Right.
And I was going to give them like my good luck
Right.
spiel,
Right.
speech to them.
Right.
And halfway through, I broke down.
Wow. Yeah, maybe because of the moment too.
Yeah, and just because it was so important to me, like
Right.
just the level of emotion.
And the passion too, just
Yes,
bursting out of you.
yes.
And that's it.
Because I wanted to make sure that these guys,
Yeah. Yeah, you see it, and again, as much as people don't want to just see people break down, especially for guys too, it's like, but you can't control it. The same way I wasn't able to control it when we got acquired.
Yeah.
Dude, I bawled. I bawled. I went this again in my Divinet episode. That was my homecoming because more than more than saying to my previous investors that I'm sorry I fucked it up.
Yeah.
I wanted to thank them because without all the help, the stupid shit putting up with me for me, I was a total idiot. Right.
And
eventually went full circle.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, so I couldn't hold it, right? So
Right.
I kind of broke down while
Right.
trying to say my thing, right?
Yeah.
And so I was speaking from someone who orchestrated this entire thing.
Yeah.
And just really wanted deeply for them to succeed.
Yeah.
And after that whole thing finished,
Right.
and I asked them to walk away.
Right.
It's your turn. This is your final pitch.
Yeah.
And for them to basically chart the rest of their business destiny.
Yeah.
After the and it was cut, right?
Right.
Cut, and I put on my producer's hat and I told the guys, the crew, I certainly hope that you got that because there's no take two for what just happened.
I'm not gonna cry again. What the fuck?
That
Right.
you cannot fake.
Absolutely.
That was just really raw emotions and just really wanting for them to get
Correct.
that investment.
Thank you again. Nobody else gave this platform to us before. We have to knock in. Okay, there's gonna be some good, nice pitching competitions left and right, but dude, we're so lucky now that Final Pitch exists. And
Thank you.
without that, it's not. Again, I'm just here trying to, but I'm pretty sure of all the people who's watched and who's gonna be joining here very soon, it's. I want to thank you for them, from them as well. Okay, last couple of questions. What makes a good pitch now? You've seen so many of them at the moment, right? For if you're a startup entrepreneur listening to this guy is probably one of the few people in the Philippines who's seen as many pitches. What makes a good pitch that makes it, and what makes a good a pitch from that doesn't make it?
Yeah. Okay, for any investor worth their salt. Okay, so for any investor worth their salt.
Right.
If you're going to say something for the purpose of impressing an investor, my biggest advice would be for you not to do it.
Okay.
Right? You're not there to impress an investor.
Yep.
You're there to show them exactly what kind of problem you're tackling,
Okay.
the solution, and I think more importantly, the kind of person that you are.
Okay.
I always tell the entrepreneurs that come on board that you have to be genuine and they have to get to know who you are.
Yeah.
Not just as a business person, but as a person
Right.
who is in business. That's why we've created the show in such a way where it's not just you pitching.
Yeah.
We have you engage in business challenges, and they're very deliberate.
Right.
You may be thinking that these business challenges are just there so that we can do these things, and it makes for a good story, whatever.
Right.
But it's actually a way for the investors to gauge what kind of a person you are.
Yeah.
Because of the kind of pressure that we put you through.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're actually observing the entrepreneurs, exactly how they relate with their competitors, with their
Yeah.
teammates,
Got it.
how they're able to process information. So in a lot of ways, it's very holistic in the sense that beyond the pitch, it's really also character assessment.
Got it.
And coupled with the fact that we introduced the mentors, it's really a very 360 way
Yeah.
of going through this journey that
Yeah.
allows you not just to convince the investor, but to refine what it is that you came in to begin with.
Got it.
Right?
And that's absolutely correct, because at the end of the day, it's a marriage,
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
They're fucking buying into your company and whatnot. All right, last couple of questions. Work-life balance. When I say work-life balance, you're fucking in shape. My shape is round and it's a shape, right? I used to be an athlete, but I don't have that time.
Yeah.
This is actually a question for me, literally. How do you find time? Because, dude, I'm literally dying now because I'm running 2 companies,
Yeah.
plus my podcast. I don't know where to get else. Where else to get time? It's hard. By the time I get home, all I'm thinking about is I want to sleep.
Yeah.
Right. I'm done. Right. How do you make that work for you?
Okay, I think generally, and this is beyond just exercise or whatever, but I've always believed in, and I honestly, truly believe in work-life balance.
Right.
Right? I believe in when you're in the office or whatever it is that you're doing to dedicate entirely your time to that thing.
Yeah.
But like, for example, in the office, and this is like a rule in the office, I want them in the office 9 o'clock, and I want you gone by 6. You shouldn't be here
shouldn't
after
be here,
6.
right.
You should be home playing with your children, going
Right.
home to your wife, your boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever.
Playing with your
Engage-
wife if you want
if
to
you
play with
want.
your wife.
Yeah. Or engaging in sports or
Right,
going
right.
out on a date. You should be able to engage in activities that are beyond your work.
Got it.
Right? And that should be the case for you to have any semblance of a life outside of what you're doing. Because granted that you have to dedicate your time towards achieving these goals, right?
Right.
But you have to give yourself that break. And it's very important. Like for me, I mean, personally, I mean, exercise is just,
Yeah.
it just really works for me just because, you know, it's a good outlet.
Yeah.
But it may not be exercise. It may be, you know, a hobby for some. But just, you know, this shouldn't be your end all and be all.
NBA 2K is my escape. It's coming out. They will not be able to find me. I'm stuck with me in my game. No, I've been playing that since I was a child. All right, last question. Networking. You've always
Yeah.
come to a fucking fresh new continent with knowing nobody.
Yeah.
But there's got to be a method to the madness now. How do you know who the right person to talk to is? Because you know you can always network. Eventually, if you try hard enough, you're gonna get there.
Yeah.
But if you seep through the right people, you're gonna get there faster. What's your
Yeah.
method in networking?
Okay, so right now I had just come from Hanoi
Right.
because we're taking the final pitch across
Boom.
Asia.
There you go.
And my first stop was Hanoi, and it was very deliberate. I got invited to the Hanoi Innovation Summit,
Nice.
and it was very purposeful in the sense that even prior to the event itself, I had already secured meetings.
Wow.
Like on the day of my flight. So the day that we shot the Baskin Robbins episode, that ended at 7. My flight was 10:30 p.m. Went straight to the airport. Got to Hanoi by around 1 to 2 a.m. The next day, 9 a.m., I was already networking, and I had 18 meetings lined up.
Yeah.
I had 18 meetings lined up. What was critical was that I knew that I only had 2 days.
Right.
Right. So it had to be very deliberate. I had already corresponded with a few people that I knew I wanted to meet, and there were also people who reached out to me. So it was very deliberate in the sense that there was something that I was there for specifically.
Right.
Like I knew that I needed to find a local partner in Vietnam. I knew that I needed to find local investors that would be part of the final pitch Vietnam.
Right.
And I also knew that I needed to find the right partners that would be able to help me get to the networks, etc. So all very deliberate, but and that's kind of how I look at networking. It's not just blindly going to every
it has to
networking
be
event.
intentional.
Very, very intentional.
Game plan, just like how you prepare for your thing before when you were in high school.
Yeah.
You have to prepare
It has to be, otherwise you're just wasting your time.
and then dig in deep. Yeah.
Exactly.
Sounds
exactly.
good. All right, thank you very much, John. This is easily the longest episode. This is by far longer than the Ron Host episode, which is season 2 premiere. But this is worth it. This has been fun. I hope you had fun.
I did.
Okay, so-
Thanks for having me, man.
John, invite over the people or the Hustle Share listeners to the newest season 4 of the final pitch. How do they do that, and where do they do?
Okay, so for people who want to watch the final pitch, they can catch us beginning September 22 on CNN Philippines. That's 8 p.m. every Sunday, and we have replays as well every 9:30 p.m.
Right.
Mondays and Saturdays 1 p.m. But apart from that, they can also log into our website, thefinalpitch.ph.
Okay.
and we'll have the previous seasons there, previous episodes.
There you go.
uploaded.
Thank you very much, John. Appreciate it.
Thanks,
And
Ron.
entrepreneurs. I'm just kidding. Again, thank you very much. And guys, if you enjoyed that episode, please don't forget to give us a follow on whatever your app you're listening this to, whether it's Spotify, whatever, iTunes or Google Podcasts. Just there's a follow button there. Press it. Okay, for us. And don't forget to join our Hustle Share community on Facebook if you want to get first dibs over who's going to be coming over into the show, so that you get a gist of what we're going to be doing next. And also message us on our chatbot, on Hustle Share chatbot on m.me/sorry, I fucked this up, slash Hustle Share powered by Chatbot PH. And guys, don't forget to support Pinoy podcasters. We are proudly part of the podcast network. Go to podcastnetwork.asia to check out all the other Pinoy podcasters in our network. And John, thank you very much again. Appreciate it.
Thanks, man.
And I'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace.